Hey there, and welcome back to another Threat Thursday. I'm your host, Brad Goldenace, and founder of Vendify, a third party risk management platform. Today, we're diving into something that keeps CISOs up at night: email security. You might think email security, really? But here's the kicker: 90% of cyber attacks start with a single email. Let's break down why this matters for your vendor security program. So, the why, the problem statement. Email remains the primary attack vector for a reason. According to recent posts by SlashNext, phishing attempts increased by 703% in 2024. It only takes one successful compromise to potentially affect your entire supply chain. And while we often focus on social engineering, the technical configuration is equally as critical. Your vendor's email security directly impacts your security posture. So let's have a look. Let's break down the 5 crucial security protocols to get a lay of the land so that you can understand the risk. Number 1, SPF, Sender Policy Framework. Think of it as your email passport. The passport defines which servers are authorized to send emails from your domain. This is set up by a DNS TXT record, and without it, anyone can pretend to be your vendor. Number 2, DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, the digital signature for your emails. If this seal is broken, someone has been here. DKIM ensures messages haven't been tampered with in transit. It's critical for maintaining message integrity and prevents man in the middle attacks. Number 3, DMARC, also known as Domain Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. This is the enforcement policy of SPF and DKIM. But why, Brad? You ask. If SPF and DKIM are already set up, why do I need to check or add DMARC to double check? Well, SPF bypass can be done because SPF only checks the return path domain, also known as the envelope sender. So an attacker can set the from address to look legitimate while using an unauthorized server that passes SPF. So you can get an email from ceo@yourcompany.com, but SPF only verified the mailer at malicious.com in the return path. So you need DMARC to check to see whether SPF records are both coming from and to. And then on the DKIM, doesn't enforce sending domains. So what does that mean? So DKIM verifies emails weren't altered. It doesn't validate who sent it. So an attacker can sign emails with their own DKIM key, and if the recipient doesn't check the alignment, it could look valid. So DMARC enforces domain alignment. Specifically, SPF alignment, the domain in the from header must match the SPF verified return path. And for DKIM alignment, the domain from header must match the DKIM signing domain. So that's what's important around the DMARC space. So it's basically policy enforcement. If an email fails SPF and DKIM checks, DMARC tells the recipient server to reject or quarantine instead of just making it look suspicious. DMARC also provides reports to the domain owner showing unauthorized email activity. Bottom line, without DMARC, attackers can still send spoofed emails that appear to be from your domain, even if SPF and DKIM are set up. DMARC enforces strict alignment rules and policy actions, making it harder for spoofed emails to reach inboxes. Number 4, SMTP TLS reporting, also known as StarTLS Plus. SMTP TLS reporting is the formal name of what's often referred to as StarTLS or StarTLS Plus. Both terms describe the same concept: security extension for SMTP that allows email servers to report on whether TLS encryption is being properly enforced during email transmission. Basically, your email security dashboard that provides you visibility into transport encryption and helps identify potential security gaps. Number 5, MTA STS, Mail Transfer Agent Strict Transport Security. So, SMTP, the protocol for sending email, doesn't enforce encryption by default. And so, MTA STS is the encrypted tunnel for your emails and prevents downgrade attacks and ensures email transport security. So, if you have your SMTP TLS or Start TLS enabled, there is a way for attackers to go downgrade that attack so that it doesn't work on encryption. The MTA STS forces it to only go in encryption, and we'll let you know if it doesn't. And last but certainly not least, this is number 6, DNS security, the trust anchor for everything we just covered. DNSSEC prevents DNS poisoning attacks, which essentially can bypass SPF, DKIM, DMARC if you do it correctly. DNSSEC ensures the integrity of your email security controls by adding cryptographic signatures to DNS records, allowing resolvers to verify that the data they receive hasn't been tampered with. This prevents attacks like DNS cache poisoning and ensures the authenticity of domain information. So there you have it, 5 methods that should be configured to protect email. And I know what you're thinking. That's easy enough to set up, but how do I check if everyone else is set up? So let's jump into the practical application. And here's how these things are configured manually. So here's how to check these configurations manually. You can use Dig. It's a command line tool, and you can simply jump in, type in dig plus short, add the domain, and ask for the TXT records. And it's going to come back and give you a call out on the SPF records that are included to show you who's who in the zoo. So who can send messages from the sender. You can see here it's got the 3 different domains here, and it's got that little tilde. Yes, that's what it's called in there. So it's a soft fail. If there was an actual dash, then it would be a hard fail. So they can send from these domains. If the email does arrive from these domains, then it is correct, and that's great. However, the rule here says if they don't, mark them as dodgy, and so you can see what's going on there. So that's how you do it in Dig. Now, you can obviously use Dig and be all hackery and get into that terminal and hack away, but it's not going to be great experience. You can use tools like MX Tools. That's a little bit easier, right? So you just jump in here, you type in the domain you want to check out, and that's going to give you a quick breakdown of everything that it finds. So straight away, you can see the host name that it's bringing in, and you can see that it gives you a little bit more information straight away. So it's got DMARC policy is published, the DMARC policy is enabled, and the DNS record is found. So that's a quick way to check, and you can obviously do a bunch more on this to see a few other items. So we can do DKIM lookup, we can do DMARC, we can do all those good things, DNS security, and that's great. So that works as well. But now, what happens if you needed to check quite a few vendors to make sure all of their email is set up correctly? That's going to take a long time. So got to try and automate it in some way. And so this is a great tool. It's called Check DMARC. And again, it's very similar to what we just had a look at in terms of Dig, except it's just extrapolated out those commands and it does everything in one go. And so we can quickly jump to that. And if we have a look, we're back at our terminal, and Hugh Voodoo People by Prodigy, and we add in our domain. And here we go. So this is pretty cool. It checks pretty much everything we've been talking about. It actually checks everything we've been talking about and more. So this is pretty cool. So straight away, the domain and DNS security is turned on. Very good. Very good. And then MTA STS valid. Yep. So that is to make sure that the SMTP encryption is set up. That's great. SPF, is it turned on? Yes, it is. It is valid and it's got a few records. And it even checks the actual hosts of these records to see like how many of them can send, because you've set it as DNS. So for Zoho, there's tons. So any one of these Zoho servers could send an email from your domain essentially, which could pose a threat. And you've got it on a soft fail, so it will let the email pass, but it won't. But it will kind of say, "Hey, something's not 100% sure," which is great. So you can see that here. And then you've got the DMARC policy. Is it valid? Yep, it's valid. And then it goes into the DMARC policy to make sure to see, okay, this is quarantine on this. So if any email comes in and it fails DMARC, it's going to be quarantined. And so it's got all of those settings. It says who you're sending the emails to and the reports to. It's got all of that there, which is fantastic. And then it's got SMTP TLS reporting. So can we check to see what's happening with that? Yep, that's true. And where's that going to? And then it's got this final one, which is BIMI, which is actually, you can add a little logo to your email from a domain. So it checks it out. But yeah, that's pretty much it from the code side. So it's okay. So we've done all of this. Now, Brad, I've got to check every single vendor, and I'm going to check them all, and I'm going to constantly check to make sure. Well, that's where Vendify comes in. And so this is Vendify. So you can check straight away on the dashboard for our vendor. We can see the email and DNS security, and you can see that it's checked DNS security, it's checked DMARC, it's checked MTA STS, it's checked SMTP TLS, and it's checked SPF. And all of those have been set up and are working. And so great, you can see that that's all happening, and it gives us an email and DNS score 100 out of 100 to add to our overall inherent risk score. So that's how Vendify does it, and it does it for all your vendors. So you can quickly jump in and check out any other vendors and see that report, and it will immediately let you know if anything has changed. And so straight away, this is happening in the background. So all of your vendors are kept in one space, and you can see exactly what that overall email and DNS score is for them, which allows you to secure your supply chain at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. And there you have it. Now you know all about how to secure your organization, as well as make sure your vendors are doing the same. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things third-party risk management. See you next Threat Thursday.